So isn't that incredible that this morning Jamie managed to pick up on some female leopard tracks and her suspicions were obviously correct. And here we are, we have managed to locate Shadow. I've got Tundi on the brain today. So she probably just popped across last night or maybe very early this morning. And while she's ventured back across, we're quite close to Red Dam on Arathusa. Now, for those of you who have probably never seen this leopard before, maybe it's your first time and you've just started watching, welcome. And like I said, this is a leopard who goes by the name of Shadow. And she has a sister named Tundi. And she is the daughter, well, they are both the daughters of the famous Karula, who is the queen of Djuma. Now, she's sitting up on this massive termite mound. She also looks a little bit hot. She was panting quite vigorously. And this is a really, really good spot because she's high up. She can see anything that's coming towards her. And I'm hoping that what she's looking for is perhaps an impala ewe with a newly born lamb. And we know what happens is that when they go off to give birth, they leave the comfort of the herds and they come out to these denser thickets where they'll hang around for a couple of days to a week before the little ones can obviously use their legs quite well. Isn't this wonderful? And she's just looking so beautiful. I haven't seen if she's eaten recently, as she is hiding behind a part of the termite mound. But maybe she'll get up for us and show us. And I don't know when the last time Shadow was seen. I've only seen Shadow once, and that was probably in the first week that I started working here at Safari Live. Now, she's a relatively easy leopard to identify, and the way that I remember her is that she's a fully grown leopard with a pink nose. You'll see, there we go, which is obviously quite unusual because that sort of pinkish color on their nose tends to disappear as they start to get older. And, well, she's still got it. And you can see the beautiful, beautiful spot pattern that she's got. She's got 4. Is that the right side of her face or is that the left side of her face? No, that's the right side of her face. You can only see 3 spots. Can you see 3 spots there? 1, 2, 3. And then let's see what she's got on the other side of her face. Oh, look how kind she is. Almost. And it looked like she may have had 4 on the other side of her face. If I'm correct, I think she does have a 3-4 spot in. And of course now she's plonked herself down that we're just getting a little view, and I'm so glad that you're all excited to have a look at her. Wasn't that lovely that she managed to just poke her head up just for a little bit, but now she seems to have tucked back down and gone to sleep for a little bit longer. And I'm sitting up on the door, just stretching my legs out. They're getting a bit cramped. And well, we're just going to have to play the waiting game. And what's quite nice is that we've got Shadow here and we've got the Kahumas not too far from here. I wonder if we shouldn't try and get a better position. I'm actually just trying to wonder if we are going to get a better view. What do you think, Jean-Andre? Do you think if we go all the way around, or do you think we should just hang tight here?
Go further back.
Okay, maybe we'll do that. Let's try reposition slightly. Hang on, sorry, I just want to... Oh, Jean-Andre, I have a beetle. I'm going to keep you in my book. Stay there. Right, let me quickly climb back down again. If I can get back in. Take some maneuvering. And let's just position ourselves a little bit better. Are you looking at my notes? You're not allowed to look at my notes. Oh. Did he go off? We'll find him again. I think we might actually have a little bit of a better view here. How's that, Jean-Andre? Can you see her? A little bit better, but look how camouflaged she is. She's just keeping an eye out on us. Oh, that's quite nice. Isn't that lovely? Oh, I'm not unplugged. And she is a beautiful girl. She looks quite uncomfortable though, and well, I can't really blame her with this heat, but luckily the wind has picked up. You can see all that thatching grass and stuff growing. That's growing up on the termite mound, blowing around quite a bit now. Also the trees behind her, they're moving quite a bit with the wind, which is nice, and it's quite pleasant because it's bringing over a lovely cool breeze. And it's getting darker, the clouds are coming in. Maybe we're going to get rain, but I'm not too certain just yet. Look how big that termite mound. Now, Anne from Canada, you were wondering what prevents the cats from hyperventilating when they pant. Now, I think it's a little bit different. Obviously, if I were to sit here and try and pant like a leopard, it's going to very much sound like hyperventilating. So I'm not 100% certain. This is a question that I haven't been asked before. I have to do a little bit of research. Maybe you know, maybe someone out there actually knows already and can help us a little bit. So you're welcome to either hashtag Safari Live, and remember the emails are up and working now, so you can even send that through to questions@WildEarth.tv. I'm just trying to think about it. I don't know, because the airwaves system is not too much different to ours. Like I said, I'll have to go and pick up a book and maybe read a couple of anatomy books, maybe a couple of veterinary books will be able to sort of help describe something like that. Unfortunately, I haven't really come across anything like that in our typical animal behavior books that we've got for the African animals. But maybe they describe it in cats and dogs, and maybe then we can relate it to the bigger cats. You can just see she's just reacting to a couple of little branches that have been squashed, but not too worried about them, just twitching her ears. She's a lovely leopard. You can see that her canines are still nice and sharp. They're not quite worn down just yet. And that's because these leopards can live for quite a long time. They can almost reach ages oldest leopard I've ever seen. She was 16, almost 17 years old. Her name was Nottins. And well, Shadow, if I'm not mistaken, is only about 10 years old, so she's still got a long life ahead of her if she can evade the predators and other leopards and, oh well, just stay out of trouble really. She should be alright. But this is wonderful to see that she is doing well. And I just wish she would stand up so we could see if she's had a meal recently. But I'm almost certain that she's been taking it full advantage of the Impala lambs and the Inyala lambs that are all around at the moment. No, she's got bored of that vehicle as it leaves the sighting. Now, Lindsay, you were wondering, since that Shadow has lost her previous cub, you're wondering what her reaction would be to Sindile if he would come back. Now, I don't think it would be a very pleasant reaction because Sindile is still quite young, so he's nowhere near sexually mature enough to even think about mating with the females. And to say that inbreeding does happen occasionally, so if Sindile were to grow up and become the resident male of this area and Shadow was still around, there's a possibility that the two of them would mate. But I think Shadow would probably portray a lot of animosity towards him. There'll be a lot of hissing, a lot of growling, and I think Sindile would probably get the picture and move off because he could get a nasty swipe from his mother. So we probably wouldn't hang around for too much of the time. I think it would be a very quick, aggressive interaction, and he would probably move off. I think Sindile has now learnt the ways of the bush, and I think he's realized that he is no longer welcome around Shadow. And while he doesn't seem to come around here too often, just every now and then reported sightings of him. I think the last one I heard of was in Torchwood or on Cheetah Plains, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. But it would be nice to have him back again. But she's just sitting here very, very quietly. couple of francolins also going off in the distance. We're shouting at something else, a bit too far to be shouting at shadow. Now, a couple of you have said that Shadow's belly is quite full. From the angle that I can see, you can't really get a clear indication of whether it's food, and I can't see any swelling around her mammary gland, so it's a very difficult one to comment on right now, but I'll definitely keep it in the back of my mind for the moment that she gives us a full view, whether she stands up and repositions, and we'll have a look. Now, a couple of you are wondering if she could perhaps be pregnant. It wouldn't be, it could be, definitely be a possibility. We know that she's been mating quite a bit with Tingana. So we will see. And they've got a very, very short gestation period of only about 3 months or so, give or take a little bit, of course. So that could definitely be the case. But let's see. I think, though, in my opinion, I reckon, though, that if she is, if anything, it's probably something that she's eaten. Like I said, there's an abundance of food around at the moment for the predators, especially something like a leopard. And they are going to be taking full advantage of what's going on at the moment. Come on, give us a nice yawn. You see a bit of hair or something she had in her mouth. And this is a good sign. A little groom. Ah, beautiful. Lovely canines. Oh, did you see that spider hunting wasp that just buzzed past her head? I don't know if you noticed that on the left-hand side of the screen. There is a couple of them that seem to be flying around here. Perhaps they've been seeking sort of the coolness and an odd, looks like a warthog or an aardvark burrow that's also inside this termite mound. So perhaps they've been resting up, keeping out of the heat of the day. You can see the entrance just over there. Isn't that lovely? Look how well camouflaged she is on this termite mound. When we came into the sighting, we just spotted her head just peering up from that little bit of grass that's growing up on top of that mound. Other than that, there wasn't really much to her. She was so hidden behind the mound and, of course, all that grass. Here we go. Stand up, girl. Let's have a little look at you. I think she might move. We'll see. She's looking a lot more perky now. She's quite interested in everything that's going on around her. But it seems as though the sighting seems to be getting quite busy. There's a lot of vehicles pulling in here now. And unfortunately, I can't seem to get hold of any of the guides coming into here. So we probably won't be able to stay too long. So I think what we're going to do now is I think we're going to have to say goodbye to Madam Shadow. I know it was a short sighting, but short and sweet, and it's good to see that she's doing well. But I know that there are a couple of guides, by the sounds of it, that are itching to come in and have a look at her too. So we'll say goodbye to her, and let's go back across to James, who's also sadly going to have to say goodbye to you shortly.